So how is everyone tonight? And last week you had a Tibetan visitor? Must have been nice. That's why everyone's enlightened. Should have come. Tonight we're just sitting. Sitting again. Day after day. Does it get any better? So there's a... if we have questions about sitting, you should ask. Like, what are we doing? Suzuki Roshi, the Japanese teacher, once asked his students, so, how do you like your sitting? Well, what do you, it's kind of a trick question. What do you say? I like it? Then he's probably going to say, oh really? What do you like about it? Well, I don't like it? And why? What's wrong with it? So anything you can say is probably, a problem. So how do we talk about meditation? Because if we don't talk about it, we often get lost. And if we do talk about it, we often misunderstand. So, we're stuck. So he came up with a solution. He said, well, it's better if we talk about brown rice. Instead of talking about meditation, we should talk about brown rice. It's not because he was so healthy. The Japanese are very finicky about the white rice. And someone told me that a family was visiting Israel from Japan, and they brought their own rice. Like 20 kilos. Like the whole luggage. It's like, Orthodox Jews when they go traveling to exotic places and they take all these cans of tuna and manachama. Like, imagine going to Thailand and you're eating Israeli noodles. What can you do? So when he say we should talk about, if you want to talk about meditation, you should talk about brown rice, it's not because he was a health nut. It's because he said you have to spend more time chewing it. It takes longer. You have to chew it. When you first put it in your mouth, it's not so tasty. But then when you chew it, it starts to get better. Whereas white rice tastes great when you first have it, but it just you don't even notice that you swallowed it and it's gone. So white rice disappears. And brown rice you have to work at. So he said when we talk about meditation, we should actually be talking about brown rice. That's how we should talk about meditation. Forget meditation. Let's talk about brown rice and how you eat brown rice. Now try eating it with chopsticks. Then it really takes a while. Someone asked me, is she here tonight? I saw her. There she is. So, yeah, do you eat chopsticks at home? I said, yeah. Not because I'm such a, whatever. Well, I do love Japan, but that's not the reason. It's just because it makes me slow down. That's it. Just makes me slow down. And brown rice makes you slow down more than white rice. And it makes you work a little harder. So when we talk about meditation, if you get some instant gratification from meditation, you're probably watching a show on meditation. It's probably a documentary on meditation with all these great views of like Mount Fuji. But, but when you start doing meditation, you're coming back to brown rice. Right? It's like, I don't, it's not my favorite thing. But let me chew it and see what happens. Okay? So, and then when you start to have it as part of your regular diet, and it includes some of the vitamins that the white rice doesn't have, then in general your state of health improves. So over the long term, brown rice is better for you. Even though white rice tastes better if you were to compare it at one sitting. And it goes down easier, just like watching a movie. Sitting for 2 hours in a movie theater is much easier than sitting for 2 hours in a meditation hall. But that is also the difference between white rice and brown rice. So when we talk about meditation, we should be talking about brown rice to understand that the process is different. Right? It takes a little more effort, takes more time to cook, takes more time to eat. And sometimes it's less tasty. And you're wondering, why did I make brown rice tonight? And also sometimes you have white rice, and that's just fine. But he says something more about the brown rice, right? More than just that, it's a slower process. It's better for you in the long run. It's going to help you keep balance. And the way that brown rice is, one of the reasons it's advised over white rice or whole grain foods is because it takes longer to digest, and so your metabolism has more balance over the day, because it breaks down the sugars slower. Instead of getting this quick, shot of energy, it's more even. So when you have a great meditation, you just had a spoon of sugar. Okay? That high will disappear very quickly. You know that from experience. That's why when you think about meditation, don't think of sugar, think of brown rice. Okay? Don't think about the times when you had a great meditation, because that sets up an expectation that is, for the most part, unrealistic as part of your daily diet. That's great dessert. You need dessert to appreciate the variety of foods and the sweetness of taste. That's great. So you need these highs in meditation to give you a little encouragement to say, yeah, it's not all dreary. It's not all dull. It's not all sleepy. It's not all distraction. No, it's not all that. Sometimes it is peaceful and calm. Sometimes there is some rapture. Sometimes there is some strong energy. Sometimes there are all sorts of phenomena like that. And then you get up and they're gone. Just like the ice cream that melted. It's gone. Right? And the enjoyment and the joy that you got out of it also is gone. It's just a nice memory. But that memory is important too. So you shouldn't have aversion to that sweetness. But you shouldn't crave it either. The middle way is accepting it when it comes and letting go of it when it passes. Because it will. It will pass. And not judging your meditation based on those highs or on the lows. Brown rice. Pretty, basic. We call them staples. There are these staples we have in our diet, right? And the staples are like, what you just, it's not gourmet and it's not like the worst. It's just, this is what my diet is based on. So your brown rice meditation should be based on a regular practice where you're chewing closely, and it takes a bit of effort. And sometimes it takes more effort than every day you want to, give. You don't always want to take a lot of time preparing food, and sometimes you can't. You just have to buy something, and it's not so nutritious. But that's not your staple. Your staple is longer term. You have to put a little bit of extra effort and time invested in order to have a balanced life, physically and spiritually. So that's brown rice meditation. He went on, though, to, to extend the metaphor, or it's not really a metaphor, it's like the identity of these two. Okay? Because the metaphor means it's just symbol, and he was saying it's more than just a symbol. I mean, brown rice is really brown rice, and you actually do need to chew it, and it's good for you. So, he said what happens when you eat brown rice is that you're also eating the pot that it cooked in, okay, and the fire that was cooked on, and the kitchen, and the spoon, and the person, and you're eating all these things. These things are then becoming part of you. And what happens when it gets digested is that the brown rice realizes, he said, its inherent emptiness. The brown rice, when it becomes part of you and it's digested, and then becomes you, and it's transformed from rice into body and energy and then waste matter, and has transformed from its plant to grain to meat. And my heat, how'd the rice turn into heat? Well, that must mean that the rice isn't just rice. But it is rice. But it's not rice. It's empty. Okay, so he was saying that brown rice is realizing its emptiness through your, engagement with it. So, when you're eating brown rice, you're realizing the rice's emptiness and your own emptiness. Because if the rice is becoming you, then you are also the rice. And not just you, but you are you. And you're the rice. So, where does it begin and where does it end? Where is the I and where is the rice in that moment when the rice is transforming with your, digestive acids and becoming, breaking apart and then being absorbed in your intestines into energy and nutrients and then body. And at that point of coming apart, where is it the rice and where is it you? And both of them are united in this sense of emptiness. Emptiness means interbeing, means that, our sense of self kind of dissolves to include a lot more of what we think than what we think. So when he's talking about brown rice, see your meditation is brown rice. Now we're starting to understand that the idea here is more than just, choosing, your practice is going to take a while, chew it well, and, be ready for the long term. It's actually that the moment that you eat it, the moment you bite it, even the moment that you prepare it, or the moment that you buy it in the store, okay, you are realizing emptiness of the rice and of you. That you're realizing a relationship of interbeing, of connection with the world and all things. So, how is our rice meditation then happening here and now? I'm not eating rice. But in my meditation, the point of all meditation is to realize the emptiness of self, which is the fullness of everything that you're experiencing. That you are not separate from your world and your experience. It doesn't mean you don't exist. It just means who and what you are is including everything around you. And we can do that instantly by chewing brown rice or you're listening to the raindrops. Where does the rain end and you begin? Where is that separation? If the sound of rain hitting the ground is entering the room and going into your ears and then becoming part of your consciousness, where does the rain end and you begin? So any time you connect with your senses, you are realizing emptiness, meaning that deep connection, and the non-separation, what we say as non-duality, of self and world. It's not a mystical thing. This is why he uses the most basic kind of metaphor of brown rice. It's not metaphorical. It's real, moment by moment relationship, interbeing, non-separation of you and the world. And anytime you connect to what you're experiencing now, you're realizing that emptiness. Because you're not just in your own island anymore. Right? You are connected through the sounds, through the tastes, through the touch, through the communication. You have a conversation. That is enacting emptiness. Right? You are then non-separate with the person you're speaking with. I mean, try to have a conversation and not be affected. Okay? It's impossible. And that's just a conversation. That's happening with everything. Everything. Everything we receive, okay, is an expression of emptiness. Why is this important and beautiful and, real and accessible at every moment if you open your mind to it? If you are focused on your thoughts and on you creating the thoughts and on what it means to you and you and you, what we're reinforcing is a sense of separation. If we let go of always the self-centered thoughts and the judgments of what it means and how it relates to me, but rather, how do I relate to it? It's not how does the world relate to me. How do I relate to the world? How do I relate to the world on the world's terms? The rain is happening. I can't stop the rain. I can open to it. I can receive it. And I cannot just think, what does this mean to me? It's not, the world is not all about what it means to you. More importantly, what do you mean to the world? That's how we relate brown rice to our meditation. And again, we're saying, okay, I receive the emptiness of the brown rice. How do I then, return it? What do I give from what I've received? That is the circle of emptiness. And this constant giving and receiving until the giver and the receiver are, indistinguishable. I can't see the difference. As much as you're receiving impact, you are giving impact. You walk down the street and, you are affected by the way people are. Don't you think they're equally affected by the way you are? Yes. Yes. All of you are enacting emptiness as you walk down the street. You're having a serious impact on everyone you pass by. If you don't consider that, then what you're reinforcing is a sense of separation, which the Buddha called delusion. The delusion is the dream of the self. Suzuki Roshi went on to talk about delusion during his talk of brown rice. He said, we live in delusion. This delusion that we are separate. He said, that delusion is necessary. That's not the enemy. Delusion's not the enemy. Delusion's a tool so we can get things done. But don't confuse it with reality. See it as a tool. Useful when it's useful, not useful when it's not. Are you using the right tool for the right situation? Are you using the right sense of self for this situation? Don't talk about emptiness when you're at work. That's the wrong tool. Okay? Use the right tool in the right place. You need to express ego because that's what will get work done in this situation, then that's what you need to do. Knowing it's a tool, right? That it's a delusion that you're using as expedient means, as useful means to get the job done. What needs to be done here. Okay? He said it's like a step ladder. You use it to climb up in certain places and the ladder moves. And, you're just using it where it's useful. So I wanted to relate to this this brown rice there's a famous conversation between two ancient Zen teachers, Joshu and Nansen, which is called Original Mind. Original Mind. And the title of this conversation is Original Mind is the Way. So I'm going to read it to us now. This is used as a sort of a meditation tool in the Zen tradition. Ordinary mind is the way. Joshu, who's considered one of the most famous teachers, earnestly asked his teacher Nansen, what is the way? What is the way? And remember, Joshu had been practicing for a long time. And one of the refreshing things about these conversations is that they still come to their teachers with the most basic question, like, what should I be doing? How do I sit? You know, you could have done 1,000 retreats, and you still should go to your teacher and say, I don't know what I should be doing in meditation. I don't know what should be happening in meditation. I'm not sure what I'm doing. Honestly, everyone should be asking that question. Otherwise, your knowing may be a really good idea, but a really big obstacle. There's a saying in Zen that not knowing is most intimate. When you let go of what you know, then you come closer to those around you. But if you know yourself and others really well, then it's a way of keeping reality at a distance. Because you're relating more to your idea and not so much to the living, breathing, changing reality. So, when I talk about the raindrops, let go of what you know sometimes. It's just a relief. Like, it's just lighter. Let go of what you know. Most intimate. This is. So, this is Joshu, and the very first line of this koan kind of expresses that. Great Master Joshu. By the way, he started practicing when he was 40 until he was 80, and then went on a pilgrimage to wander around when he was 80 for like 20 years, and started teaching when he was 100. Maybe it's legend. Maybe it's legend. I mean, I thought back in the 1200s or the 1000s, wasn't the average lifespan like 30? If you got through the first 2 years. So, I don't know. Let's just go with it. The point is that he only started teaching when he was old. Right? And he only started practicing when he was middle-aged. And he asked this question probably like when he was 60. What is the way? Nansen answered, ordinary mind is the way. Really tricky statement. Okay. Joshu asked, so, should I direct myself to it? Or not? Like if it's ordinary mind, like what should I be aiming for? What should I be aiming for in my meditation if my ordinary mind is the way already? Does that mean every thought I have is the way? Even the selfish thoughts? My fantasies about chocolate and sleep while during meditation are the way? So I should encourage them? Should I direct myself towards those thoughts? If that's the way, if everything's the way, then maybe everything I think, so I'll just fantasize away and I'm having great meditation. And if I'm bored especially, then bring it on. Right? So should I direct myself towards it or not? Or if I shouldn't direct myself towards it, should I not have those thoughts at all? That's another thing. A real common attitude people have in meditation is, either I enjoy my thoughts or I label them as all bad. And a blank mind is a good meditation. What is a blank mind? Anyone had a blank mind? Blank mind. What is a blank mind? I don't know. It sounds like an unconscious mind, right? Sounds like a sleeping mind when you wake up and you just didn't remember your dreams. So you don't remember anything, so it's blank, right? But during meditation, there are gaps between thoughts. But how long do you have no thoughts? And is it just because you weren't really paying attention to the thoughts? What is blank mind? So should I direct myself towards it or not? Nansen said, if you try to follow it, if you try to turn towards it, you go against it. Right? Isn't that so true? When you want to have a good meditation, what happens? Okay? And when you don't care about how your meditation comes out, then usually everything's okay. But if you go to a retreat really wanting to have enlightenment, or you come to a meditation like tonight, and you say, like, I really want, wisdom. You meet Mr. D, and it's not Daniel, it's disappointment. Dr. D. So if you turn towards it, you go against it. Right? Where is the naturalness? Where's the naturalness in this way? Sometimes we start with our meditation practice and it feels so unnatural, especially like sitting on the ground for a long time. It's uncomfortable, having to let go of all these thoughts and come back to just training the mind to look at the breath and focus on my concentration. It doesn't feel so natural. Where's the naturalness to it? And then you take a breath and you just let go. And you come back to that sense of, here I am. Here I am. You settle. I use the word settle a lot, right? You just settle, and that settling is also a sense of accepting. Accepting the tension. Accepting the sadness. Accepting the excitement. Accepting even the expectations, okay? And that, bigger field is a natural state of mind. So, if you turn towards it, you go against it. So Joshua asked, if I don't try to go towards it, how can I know that it's the way? So what do? What is the effort of no effort? Isn't that a contradiction? I want to sit here and just accept and let things go. Well, how do I let go without it being forced, without it being pushing away? When I say just, let your thoughts drop, how do you let it drop without forcing them? Without, judging those thoughts as good or bad? How do I just let it happen, and yet it happens? Well, one breath at a time. Someone asked a teacher, there's this vow in Zen, sentient beings, all creatures, are numberless, and I vow to save them. That's one of the bodhisattva vows, the vows of an enlightened being. And he asked the teacher, save all sentient beings, how do I do that? And he said, you're saving them from your own craziness. You're saving them first and foremost from your craziness, right? They have to save themselves from their own craziness. But you can, stop forcing your crazy self on them, right? That's how you can save all sentient beings, from you. You're saving them from you, from the selfish you, the hurtful you, the harmful you, the crazy you, the self-centered you. That's what you're saving them from right now. And if everybody saves everybody from their own crazy self, wow, what a great place we'd be in. You can't save them, okay, from them. You can only save them from you. So that's the saving you have to do. If I don't turn towards it, how can I know that it's the way? And Nansen answered, the way doesn't belong to knowing or not knowing. Knowing is delusion, and not knowing is a blank consciousness. When you have reached the way beyond all doubt, you will find it vast and boundless as the great empty sky. How can it be talked about on the level of right or wrong? At these words, Joshua was suddenly enlightened. They always end like that. Now, knowing is delusion, he said, and not knowing is blank consciousness. It's just like blankness. Not knowing is blankness. So, knowing is delusion. We talked about illusion a little bit. But what's important to see here is that knowing is a necessary delusion. It's a necessary delusion. You need to know things, and you need to not know things. And you need to not know what you know. You need to know it and not know it at the same time. Okay? The harmony here of the form and emptiness. You need to know who you are, what you're doing, what your role is, what your relationships are, things like that. And at the same time, not know it. But if you only either know or not know, but you don't know and not know together, then you're stuck in these two sides of either, you know, not having any ideas that will help you on your path, or being stuck in your ideas. So the knowing and not knowing are really what balance each other. If you only know, then you're judging. If you only not know, then what do you do? Like, how do you know what to do? So the knowing and not knowing are a check and balance to each other, right? When you feel like you know too much and you're really secure, and maybe you're feeling some stress because of that, it's time to, you know, open up a little bit and start to question and start to doubt. You're not doubting the world, you're doubting your ideas of the world. And when the doubt starts to, you know, become a little too, you know, unstable, so that you don't know what to do, it's time to trust that knowing a bit. You're always going back and forth. And the idea of trust here is really key to unlocking these conversations. So when we ask, okay, well, how do I let things drop? How do I let it drop without forcing it? What's the difference between letting it happen and pushing it out of the way? Okay? And here the idea underlying this, underlying acceptance, is trust in the nature of your mind. Not in the nature of yourself, in the nature of your mind. And that trust is key to having a vast and settled meditation practice. You're not trusting your ideas. You're wondering about those ideas. You're questioning them. You're not even trusting your sense of self, because your sense of self has to adjust skillfully to every situation, like the right tool in the box. So see yourself as a toolbox. Don't see yourself as like a single person. See yourself as a toolbox, you know, and you have to, with wisdom and compassion, choose the right tool out of the box for this specific, you know, job, right? Whether it's a job with a child, whether it's a job with a parent, whether it's a job with a coworker, whether it's a job with the supermarket, whether it's a job by yourself. You know, what's the tool there? Tool of you, of yourself. But the trust here is in the mind that is able to see clearly, right? To see clearly the delusion that, yeah, there's this self that needs to function right now, right? And then there's nothing wrong with the delusion. But if you don't see the delusion and you're only the delusion, then we get in trouble, okay? Because we start to get really attached to that sense of self. How can it be talked about on the level of right and wrong? When you have reached the way beyond all doubt, you will find it as vast and boundless as the great empty sky. Right? What is the way beyond all doubt? You know? Well, what's the title of this koan, of this conversation? Original mind is the way. When you reach the way beyond all doubt, original mind, trusting in your mind. Trust your mind, not yourself. Not the single ideas that come and go and come and go. Each one of those ideas are unstable and changing with every situation. But the consciousness, the awareness, the mind, you know, your sense of life, of being in this moment by moment, that can be aware of all those changing thoughts and ideas. You know, that is vast as the sky. And that's the original mind. The original mind is your basic consciousness, your sentience, your awareness. You are alive. Can you come back to that in this meditation? Can you just come back to that appreciation that I'm alive and that's enough? Okay? Being alive is already an enlightened activity. You're not having to achieve anything. You are conscious. Resist the need to fill that consciousness with asserting your selfhood. Let yourself be used wisely and well. You don't need to prove anything. And that's a basic tenet in meditation. You don't need to prove anything while you're sitting here. You want to prove stuff out in the world, that's fine. But give that a break during meditation. Don't need to prove anything. Can you accept your mind the way it is? Not yourself, your mind. You know, that awareness, the awareness that can see clearly, I'm tired. That can see clearly, I'm distracted. That can see clearly, you know, I'm upset or I'm happy. That can see all these states. The fact that you can see them, that is original mind. Now, how does this end? And it's also real helpful for us and encouraging in a strange way. This is how the koan ends, the conversation ends. He says, Nansen is a commentary by Mimon. Now remember, it ended by saying the actual exchange was, oh yeah, Joshu heard these words and he was instantly enlightened. Wonderful. But just like we have these sugar highs in meditation, yes, this is it, yeah. Next time you sit, where is it? Like, what happened? You know, so this is exactly, I mean, it's to be expected. I mean, this has been going on for thousands of years. The same ups and downs. Nansen was asked a question by Joshu. This is the commentary to this koan. And Nansen was shattered and melted away. Okay, so the teacher was shattered by his own answer. Even though, here's the punchline now, even though Joshu came to a full realization, he had to delve into it for another 30 years before he truly understood it. All right? He had to delve into it. He had to pursue that and question again and again, what am I doing? Original mind? What is the way? Huh? He had to work with this koan for another 30 years before he fully understood it. And this is after they said, upon hearing these words, he had full enlightenment. Well, that's great. So maybe full enlightenment is not really full enlightenment. Or full enlightenment, the words full enlightenment is not full enlightenment. As soon as we say full enlightenment, we've missed it. As soon as we say enlightenment, we already think that it's something other than my own mind. And the whole paradox of this koan is that it's original mind. So why even say the word enlightenment? Because then you've already separated yourself from it. What are you looking for? Why do you meditate? Do you seriously ask yourself that question? Why do you bother? Why bother to sit and do nothing? Why look at the mind when what you usually find is something that you don't necessarily like? Why? Why do that to yourself? Or you like it and then it passes. Or it seems great and then you get up and it seems like it didn't change my life at all. There's somebody, this is a nice story. During a retreat, someone asked Suzuki Roshi, he said he was an ordained monk, one of the monks in his monastery, and he had been a monk for 5 years, and every month they have a ceremony of kind of, it's a weird thing, like a sort of confession, where they say you apologize for everything I've done wrong. Right? It's sort of like letting go of this now. So he said, Roshi, I really want to apologize that, I've been practicing for 5 years and I'm still having a really hard time with the people here. And Roshi said, 5 years? That's it? You have no idea how hard it is to love some people. That's such a good answer. You have no idea how hard it is to love some people. It's going to take the rest of your life. What, you think you meditate a few years and all of a sudden it's all love and compassion? No. Original mind is turning a mirror to whose mind? Your mind. And everything you like and everything you don't like is exactly what you're going to see. And original mind means also that is exactly what you're going to have to let go of. Yeah. The raindrop mind is, the original mind is everything that you see in meditation not out in the world, in your own mind, in your own thoughts. That is your practice. Yeah? It's easy to let go sometimes of noises, sirens, other people who bother you. But your own thoughts? Everything you experience is original mind. Because it's not happening out there. That's the emptiness that I tried to talk about earlier with the brown rice. Whatever you're experiencing, you think the rain is happening out there? It's not. It's happening in here. You think this talk is happening here? No. It's happening in your mind. Original mind is that you're always having to see that, be aware of everything happening in your mind, and move on. Take another breath. Original mind means you're practicing with your mind. You think you're practicing with the world. That's good to think. But original mind is telling us one thing. You're practicing with your mind all the time. That is what you have to practice. Original mind is the way? Yes. Yes. Whose original mind? Yours. So I mentioned the Tibetan teacher, and Trungpa Rinpoche, who was a Tibetan teacher, and he started a school called Naropa in America. He came in the 1970s. And he defined it as this. He said, original mind, it means the path of no escape. It's the way of no escape. Which is pretty, harsh. But he also had another kind of idea or a model. He talked about a bodhisattva as a bodhisattva warrior, which I really like that also image. Because, we think that having love and compassion is like soft and furry, like a kitten, right? But sometimes it's a lion. The kitten grows up. Okay, and is fierce, right? And to deal with some delusions, you need to be a bodhisattva warrior. And for other situations, you put the sword away and you take out the chopsticks. The real wisdom is knowing which one, when. So, be a warrior and a kitten, all at the right time. And you can realize that more and more by trusting the vast natural clarity of your own awareness. And that is original mind, and that is why we sit. But you'll need to figure that out for yourself.